So as a lot of people are starting to max out, and you can see here I'm at level 99, just about to reach 100 and putting in tons of hours into this game, I'm starting to see a lot of the reviews pop up. And in my opinion, people have been extremely harsh on Diablo 4. You know, the ratings are ranging from like 6 to 6.5 is a very common number I'm hearing. And I just think that a lot of the problems that are associated, not to say that I don't have criticisms of the game, which I'll talk a few about them here, but a lot of the criticism that people are bringing up, I feel like don't really apply to someone that is just enjoying the game naturally. And for example, here, I put out a video talking about how to gear essentially. And one of the top comments here, I'm a simple man. I see green, I put it on my character. And I pinned the comment because that is such an amazing attitude towards the game. Now, as someone like myself who's trying to, grind and make content for you all, I do try to min-max, I do try to play a lot. But if I was playing just casually, if I was playing, this game and not making videos about it, not doing anything like that, I would totally be having that perspective. I don't need to sit here and try to find crit chance on my gauntlets and crit damage and on my rings and get the best stats. And I would just be, oh, look at that. That's a pretty cool, barrage skill. I want to try a ranged rogue. Let me just roll in on that and play the game. And I feel like that is the sentiment for the vast majority of the players. And in fact, it continuously is echoed throughout my videos, comment section, and any post I've made. And for the majority of any post anyone's made is we are just trying to enjoy Diablo 4. So when I see criticisms like, oh, well, the itemization is bad. It's too simplistic. It's boring. To me, this is a good thing. In fact, it could be even more simplistic and be even better. Right? It's actually the opposite in my opinion. That's why I say things like Diablo 2 players or PoE players are kind of taking this game and trying to turn it into Diablo 2 or PoE. And I actually think that makes it for a worse game a lot of the time. Now, that's not to say that if you enjoy more complicated item systems, that's a bad thing. I'm saying that in this game in particular, this game is actually really, really well built for a lot of you casual, people that have maybe a few hours to play a week, which is the average male adult who has a family. And I totally understand that. And I think that doing things like just having a more simplistic item system, having a more simplistic leveling system, having people make the campaign a core component of how you enjoy the game initially, and just having the open world where you get to hang out with friends. Heck, even the leveling scale system, which a lot of people have problems with, is one of the greatest things in this game. I completely disagree with having it be a big negative towards the game. Now, are there criticisms with the leveling scaling system? Yes, you do tend to feel a little bit weaker at certain points in the game where you otherwise would not have. But you can play with anyone at any point and you all benefit. In fact, I'm level 99 here. A lot of my friends here might be at level 70, level 80. And in fact, they contribute about the same that I do because of the way the items work and how you get ancestrals at level 60, and you can potentially wear them at level 60 if you're in world tier 4, and then you don't really get that much crazy stronger from 70 to 100, although you do get stronger. It's not so crazy to where they can't contribute and I'm power leveling them. But if you do want to power level, you can do that as well. The point is, the game really encourages a lot of group play, a lot of simplistic systems, a lot of straightforward ways to play the game. And I think the criticisms are honestly not really fair to what Diablo 4 is trying to be. Another big criticism that I've seen is the skill tree and how it's too simplistic and how you just pick a skill and that's the skill you're going with. To me, this is so fun. And I think it works so well for a lot of players out there where, hey, I have a basic, I have a core skill, I pick up 4 abilities, potentially 1 ultimate of those 4 abilities, and I'm rolling in with my build. Now, obviously, there's going to be some builds that don't use an ultimate, like my penetrating shot build. There's going to be some builds that don't want to use a core skill, like a firewall sorcerer, potentially, that's using arc lash plus firewall. There's some builds out there like that. That's totally fine. But the way Blizzard has designed the skill tree and the way they've designed the game overall is actually so intuitive, generally speaking, compared to every other ARPG I've ever played. And in fact, it, in my opinion, is even more straightforward than something like Diablo 3 potentially, unless you consider when you get to the later points in Diablo 3 when you start getting set pieces, because that makes things also streamlined. But I think that in general, Diablo 4 has done a great job of kind of balancing out the casual to mid-casual players, the semi-casual. And even at hardcore play rates and hardcore players, like I would consider myself part of that, right? You don't reach level 100. In fact, I've been not necessarily reaching 100 yet because I've been making a ton of videos. But if I were to just continue playing, I would be level 100 and I'd be grinding out the game. And I just think that the Nightmare Sigil system, the way you min-max, the way you grind out your Paragon board and try to figure out all sorts of different combinations with this, and even trying to figure out some combinations with skills and all that type of stuff, and interesting combinations with unique items. I think there's a lot to be had and a lot to offer with actually building out your characters and really grinding the game hardcore. And then even to further reinforce this process, and for those of you that play the Eternal Realm or potentially want to play Seasons in the future, a lot of the things scale over, but that kind of leads me into some of the critiquing parts of the game and things that I've had an issue with. The first thing that I do think is a reasonable critique is the item management and inventory management in general. For example, the equipment here, you have immediately 7 slots taken up by gems. They said they're working on a gem bag. We need that sooner rather than later. I think that's going to be a really nice quality of life upgrade. Okay. The consumables, separating out your Nightmare Sigils from your potions. I think that that's going to be a really nice, just make this into 2-tap sigils and potions. So that way you don't have to salvage all the time for your Nightmare Sigils when you start to reach that point, because you do stack them up pretty quickly. Okay. That would be a huge benefit. Overall, you just get a lot of loot in the game, and you oftentimes have to go to town every dungeon if you're picking it all up, and most people do, right? So it would be really nice to have that gem bag and to have a few other things to kind of expand that inventory, or just to make it a little bit of an easier process for us. The second critique that I have is going to be trying to reinforce the sense of progression through seasons. Now, I actually made a full video on this, talking about how seasons have potentially a big problem. I will say, and a lot of you brought up a couple good points, which is that we don't know necessarily how they're going to handle future seasons. And hopefully what they'll do is that they'll make the season journey and the ability to kind of grind out and get your, unique cosmetic or your unique completion, which a lot of you casual players are going to be going for, similar to D3, making that core to kind of getting your renown naturally through that progression process. They could also do things like, for example, expand upon how nightmare dungeons teleport to a lot of different dungeons, so you get the renown naturally. But basically, getting your progression naturally through the game instead of it making it feel like a job or a grind. And I know some people will say, well, that's the point. Well, a lot of casual players don't want to feel that way, and they just want to play the game, get their season journey, and feel like they're progressing their character. And at the end of the day, I think overall, that's the perspective that I always approach this game. I have been saying this for months and months and months, that the audience that Diablo 4 is catering to is going to be way more casual than your typical ARPG audience. And most casual players only have a few hours a week to really dive into this game. And so I think Diablo 4 is going the absolute correct direction. And I would discourage from a lot of the other players that are trying to encourage a lot of D2 or PoE elements into this game. I think that would actually make the game worse for the audience that it's trying to cater towards. But let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I'm just seeing so much feedback from all of you saying how you just want to play and enjoy the game. And I think that this game has done such a great job of it already. I don't want to see it turn into a game that, well, to be frank, I haven't played nearly and enjoyed nearly as much as I have Diablo 4. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all for the next one.